28 Years Later is directed by Danny Boyle, and it stars Alfie Williams, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Jodie Comer and Ralph Fiennes. And in the sequel to 28 Years Later and the first in a planned trilogy, a young boy named Spike goes out with his father to the mainland to hunt some infected, his first time there, and he learns some dark secrets about this mainland and what may have happened in the past. Now, I was very excited for 28 Years Later. I watched 28 Days for the first time earlier on in the year, and I just watched 28 Weeks like a couple of days ago for the first time. If you want to know my thoughts on it, I will be talking about it in my first time watches of the month video, coming out in a few days. Make sure to look out for that. But yeah, I was very intrigued to see 28 Years. The trailers were really good, especially that first trailer. That's a work of art in itself. And I've just come out of the cinema just a few minutes ago, and I've got to say, I was very, very disappointed. I don't think this movie's bad, but I don't think it's good either. It just hits that middle park. 28 Years Later really did not live up to the standards. Now, before I get into my flaws, I do want to get into my positives. First of all, anything to do with the infected, any chases, any like moments where they have to fight them, all those sequences, really, really good. They were the best parts of 28 Weeks Later, and they're the best parts in this film as well. You really feel like there is no way to get out of these situations. And they are gnarly, these sequences. The blood and gore in this movie, oh my god. Even I was a bit woo at times. But any sequences involving the infected, you really lose all hope for the characters. You really don't know what's going to happen to them. So any moments like that, very well done. And I really did like some of the character work in this movie, especially from the main character Spike. Spike is the young lad, he's about 12 years old. He is the main character in this movie. This whole movie is on his shoulders. He carries it on his shoulders throughout the entire thing. First of all, before I get into the character, the main actor, Alfie Williams, he's absolutely brilliant in this movie. I mean, I've been critical of child actors many times in my reviews, but this is an exception. This guy's got a bright future ahead of him, and I'm really excited to see him in the next movies in this franchise as well. But I really did like his character arc as well. He starts off as a really nervous boy. He's going out into the mainland with his dad. Of course, that's very dangerous where all the infected are. And I like his arc of him, you know, trying to be brave over time. And I thought his ending was really, really good. And there's also this side plot with his mother as well, which I don't want to get into. But the ending to that side plot was really emotional. It was easily the best scene in the movie. It was so good that my friend who I went to see this film with was crying next to me. And it really was touching. And it fit into the themes of death and how we can deal with it, you know, what comes after it. You know, those sort of themes are really good and they fit 28 Years really, really well. And I really just did like the connection between him and his mother. It really did lead to an emotional storyline. And I really did like the world building that this movie went into. How people have sort of found a way to live in this sort of infected area now. How people inside the infected area kind of go through it in different ways. That's made the thing with this doctor played by Ralph Fiennes, who I don't think you need me to tell you that he's really good in this movie. But I really just did like some of the things that they introduced. And the different kinds of infected as well. There are many types. There's ones that like crawler on the floor. And then there's the alpha ones, which were really cool. Like, you genuinely do think that there is no way to kill these things. They just barge through doors and, like, they don't stop. People put, like, 5 arrows in him, and they carry on. Like, they really are terrifying. However, if I'm going to get into a little small nitpick with them, it's never really explained why they are the alphas. They do try and explain it, but it's just kind of shallow, kind of surface level. I really would have liked a bit more explanations as to why they are like that. Maybe we'll get some explanation in the next films, I don't know. But that was just kind of a little nitpick I had with them. And visually, I think the movie looked really, really good. There are some shots in here which I was like, whoa. I don't want to get into too much, but there's this one shot where we see the sky while people are running across, like, the ocean. It looked really, really cool, really beautiful. But that's where my positives for this movie kind of end. And my negatives with this movie both come from a story aspect, structure level, and with the technical side of this movie as well. To start off with some writing issues, the tone of this movie is all over the place. One scene we're going from a really dark, really gory moment where people are trying to fight for their lives. And then the next scene, it's very comedic. And it was just so jarring. And the tonal issues come front and centre in the ending. The ending just came out of nowhere, a complete tonal whiplash. You've heard people complain about it for good reason, because it does not fit what happened previously in the movie. And if anything, it's kind of made me less excited for the next movies, because if that's the tone of the next movies, I think it's going to be really bad. I cannot see how they can make that work in this franchise. There are also some subplots which don't go anywhere. For example, there's this military guy who landed on the island, his whole squad's been killed, and you think like, oh, okay, so they're going to show like an outside perspective of this whole thing, which would have been interesting. But no, he cracks some jokes in some really wrong places, like they make him really, really unlikable because of Spike's mother. Like, you really don't like him, and then something happens to him. So it's like, okay, what was the point of that? And then there's this whole subplot with a baby, which is obviously just there for the next films. I really hate it in films where they set things up for the next movie, but they just don't do anything with them in the first movie. Like, it really just bugged me. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens in the next movie with it, but I really would have liked some things to have happened in this movie as well. And getting into the technical side of things, I have no idea what Danny Boyle was thinking with this editing. Some of the editing in this movie was absolutely awful. For some reason, whenever a character hits an infected, it does this like freeze frame thing, and then it like goes like jaggedy over to like the other side of it, and then we see like the ending bit of it. So it's like arrow shoots in the head. We go from like this side of the head to the other side, and then it's bleh. Like, I was like, and when I was watching that, me and my friend were like, what? Well, what is this all about? And then they splice in some like old historical footage and like footage from old movies, which I have no idea why that was there. Well, I do get why it was there, but it doesn't add anything substantial to the movie. And this is a complaint that I do have with 28 Weeks Later. But the amount of shaky cam and quick cutting, I get why it's there, and it's pretty good at times. But there are so many times where it's like not even 1 second of a shot, and we're just cutting away. And it's just so annoying. Like, I really hate that style of editing, where it's like, oh, no, it's meant to be confusing, so split second, not even a second. I really do hate that with editing. And this is just a little small complaint, but I did mention earlier how the cinematography of this movie was absolutely breathtaking at times. And even though I really do like how the movie was shot, I did kind of feel like it was missing that dark, unfinished, gritty vibe of the first two films. I don't know, this movie just looks so clean. I like we're just like shooting things on a green screen at times. And I really didn't like that. I really do like it when they use practical like settings. I like they have that unfinished look to it. Like, that's really good, but this movie does not have that, unfortunately. And I really did not like the music in the film as well. They don't even have the main 28 Later theme. Like, come on, you should have incorporated that somehow. But some of the music choices were so terrible. In that ending scene especially, if it wasn't already bad enough, they had in like metal music. And it sounds absolutely awful. And then when someone's like trying to run away, they put on this weird like rock music. And it's like, what's going on? Like, the music just did not work for me. And I do have a few flaws with the acting as well. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now, I don't think this guy's a bad actor. He has proven himself to be a really good actor at times. But in this movie, he kind of felt so dry. I mean, there were times where he was hamming it up and he seemed like he was really going for it. And those were the moments where I was like, okay, it kind of worked. But when he was acting normal, it just really didn't work. And there were times where his character didn't look like he was panicking, even though they're in a really tense situation. For example, there's this one big zombie that comes after them, and he's shouting run and stuff like that in a very dry tone. So if he's not really caring, why should I really care? But I don't want to make out he was terrible, because he wasn't. There was a few times where he was really good, but I just didn't really like him as a whole. Jodie Comer, she was really good in this film, though. She was a big highlight. I do think, one little nitpick I do have, that they have some very strong Scottish accents in this movie, which I'm like not really complaining about. But there were times where it was so strong where I just could not understand what they were saying. I don't know if that's just because of how the accent is, But I don't know. That was just a little flaw for me. I just couldn't understand some lines. So overall, I don't think 28 Years Later is a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it's good either. It was so underwhelming. It has moments of greatness. The stuff with Spike and his mother, really well done. Some of the world building was interesting. Any sequence with the infected, really well done. Has you on the edge of your seat. But this movie has subplots which are just there to set up things in the next movies. A really terrible ending, so many tonal issues, some baffling editing and music choices, some very dry acting at times. I was so underwhelmed by this movie. What more can I say? 28 Years Later is going to get a 5.5 out of 10. Maybe a 6 out of 10 on a good day. But for now, 5.5 out of 10 from me. Do let me know what you think of this movie, because I've seen the reviews and they've been so all over the place. Some people think it's absolutely brilliant, some people absolutely hate it, and then there's people like me who's like, hey, it was very disappointing, but it weren't terrible. So do let me know what you think of it. But yeah, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you have seen 28 Years Later, as I said, do let me know your thoughts on it. Have a good day, guys, and see you later.